Hello friends, thanks for watching. Today I will take you to Savery Avenue in Detroit, just a random place I happened upon while exploring Google Street View. Well, I often hear and read that Detroit is being fixed up, the city is being revived, investors are building new homes again, etc. Now I do notice that indeed is the case in particular pockets surrounding the downtown area of Detroit. At the same time, it seems as if the vast majority of the urban belt surrounding the Detroit downtown area keeps deteriorating further and further, as we can see here on Savery Avenue. In 2009, there was still a whole bunch of occupied homes. People took care of their lawns, they parked their cars in front of their homes, and they dropped their garbage in their own waste bins, as you can see in these images in Google Street View from 2009. Now fast forward to 2022, and then Savery Avenue looks like this. Almost every home is abandoned, some have been set on fire, many lost their windows and window frames, garbage is being dumped on the streets. The scale of the declining area in Detroit is astounding. There is no way to compensate for that by building some new apartment blocks here and there. Detroit used to have a population of about 1.8 million in the 1950s. Right now it's closing in on 600,000, so Detroit lost about 1.2 million people in 70 years' time. It's very hard to imagine any comeback from that, especially if we factor in the reasons why Detroit got into a declining spiral in the first place. One of the main reasons was the demise of the American car industry that was more and more taken over by Japan, Europe, and later by South Korea and China, and possibly in the near future by India. For Detroit to recover from that, it would need a new golden egg, comparable to their car industry in the early 20th century. And for the past 70 years, I think, Detroit did not manage to find such a golden egg that could revive their economy. Las Vegas has its casinos and hotels. Los Angeles has its movie and entertainment industry. New York City has its financial and media sector, and all of that is still running pretty well. But what does Detroit have? What is their golden egg? None that I'm aware of. And as long as there's no such golden egg for Detroit, we will see more and more of what we see here on Savery Avenue. Homes being abandoned and falling into decay up to a point where streets will turn into urban prairies, as we call them. Urban prairies are empty areas within cities, previously being occupied by homes, schools and churches, but are now taken over by nature, simply because nobody takes care of these plots of land and nobody comes there anymore. From an ecological perspective, that is interesting because many species that were almost forced into extinction feel at ease in these areas, causing an ecological revival in the outskirts of cities like Detroit. But of course, this continuing urban decline is a social economical disaster for the 1.2 million people involved in the case of Detroit. What happened is that 3 generations of mainly poor people lost their jobs, were forced to abandon their homes, often saw their properties getting totally worthless. All of this of course contributes to poverty, homelessness and lack of education being passed on to the next generations. And that is what we sometimes fail to realize. These abandoned homes are not just piles of brick and wood. They represent 1 million American families who were forced into a position of misery that their children and the children of their children might never escape from. For many of these people, there's only one way out, and that's the way down.